In this video, I'm going to show you how to measure the Trilobite Elrathia kingi to establish a growth curve for this species of Trilobite. We're going to be looking at the width of the cranidium and the length of the glabellum. So, for the lab, you're going to have 2 boxes of Trilobites. There's 3 specimens in each box, and you're going to want to keep track on your notepad which box number and which fossil numbers you have. When you first open up your box of Trilobites, you should pull them all out and organize them from largest to smallest. And be careful with them because they are fragile, and try to touch them as little as possible and only touch the samples on the edge. Now we can see here that they are in order from largest to smallest because you want to measure them in that order. I like to place them on the stereoscope using the foam as a pad so they don't wobble. Make sure you are comfortable at the stereoscope. The eyes are adjusted, it's in focus, and you don't have to hunch over too much to get a good view down the microscope. Take the caliper, turn it on, make sure the jaws are completely closed, zero it. Even if it reads zero it every time. You want to do the same steps in the same order every single time. You first then measure the width of the cranidium. And I like to hold have the Trilobite oriented vertical with the head away from me, and then look down the scope, open the jaws until they are the appropriate width of the cranidium, record that measurement. Close it all the way, zero it, rotate the Trilobite such that it's horizontal. I like it with the head now pointing to the left. And then I open the jaws to give me the length of the glabellum. And it's important to note that you're measuring to the side of the first ridge. So you're going to see a main lobe, and then there's a ridge. That's still part of the glabellum, and the measurement is done to the side of that, to the tip of the glabellum. And this image should help you identify that. Record that measurement, close it. Still on the same specimen. I'm now going to repeat that process 2 more times, so you have a total of 3 measurements to average for the cranidium and the glabellum, always alternating between the cranidium and the glabellum measurements, making sure that you close the jaws all the way in between each and zeroing it. And then when you're done with that fossil, and you've recorded all the data, of course, you're moving along, carefully put it back in the box, pick the medium one, and then go through that procedure again. So here's my data sheet, and you can see I've kept track of which box, and then there's the sample. I got cranidium, glabella labeled. I know all measurements are in millimeters, and you can see here's my 3 measurements for the cranidium and the 3 measurements for the glabellum. You can see that there's variation in each of these, but they're pretty well clustered. And so as I collect this, if I get one measurement that is significantly different than the others, I would want to take a 4th or maybe a 5th measurement until I get a good consistent set of numbers. These, I believe, are good, and so when I get these into Excel, I will then average these 3 and average those 3, and that'll be the measurements for this particular fossil. With 2 boxes of specimens and 3 specimens in each box, there'll be obviously a total of 6 specimens, and 3 measurements of the cranidium gives you 18 total cranidium measurements and 18 total glabella measurements if all your measurements are good and you don't have to take additional measurements. So that'll be a total of 36 measurements that you'll have to enter into Excel. And here's 2 more images showing examples of cranidium and glabella measurements.